Anyone have any idea of what is the principle that makes power words work? Any ideas? The link to ideas. Absolutely. What is the principle that expresses?
Law of association.
As I said, anyone who hasn't trained with me before. So yes, this is the law of association. The fundamental building block of how your unconscious mind reasons is through associations. If you ask some psychologists and neuroscientists, was one of the philosophy of psychology questions really is how do we learn things in the first place? And one of the key ideas is usually we associate this to that, to this, to that, and so on. Now, there's a kind of logic that the unconscious mind has as well, but the primary core basic function is through the law of associations. Think about the dreams you've had. You've had dreams which may be very short, but were very full of content and meaning, right? It might be something as simple as seeing a shoe, and that shoe meant so much. It meant, growing up, your family childhood, being the third in line, which means you got all the hand-me-downs, but actually being kind of happy because you got to kick the football a few more times because it didn't matter so much. And everything is in that one little shoe. There's a host of memories, and all you had was a split second to think of that shoe, and it all came flooding back. Would that be? You've had experiences like this and dreams like this, right? So the law of association can be very efficient, very effective even. The other thing that the power words do, so they link two ideas that weren't necessarily linked beforehand. Hence, if I say to you, go into a trance, your conscious mind might say, what the hell? How? What? But if I say to you, close your eyes and you'll go into a trance, well, you consciously know how to control one, and you're unconsciously more likely to respond to the other. It's only a probability. But if you stack enough probabilities, you get as close to a certainty as is possible in this life. You get the idea? The other thing the power words do is they create a smooth chain of ideas. Everyone close your eyes for a moment, if you would. If you and I were to go to a beach, I would probably show you a particular beach on a beautiful sunny day that was beautiful white sand and a blue turquoise ocean. Now, if you and I were on this beach, you'd probably be able to sense the temperature of the sand. If you were wearing shoes at the time, you could take them off at any point and feel the sand between your toes. There might even be a mild breeze, so that whilst the sun is warm, it's not too hot. I wonder if those waves would be rolling in, and if there was a sound attached or associated to that. You could look at the ocean and even get a sense of that briny, salty sea air. Because if you turn around and you saw an elephant staring down at you with his trunk held high. So come on back, open your eyes. With that last bizarre image there. So what happened there? Hands up that when I mentioned the elephant, who here got a little bit annoyed with me, who lost the kind of the experience? Put your hand right up in the air. It's okay, I won't mind. It's about a third of the room. Here's the interesting part. Who here, when I brought the elephant in, went, elephant? All right. And just went right along with it. Most of the room. We'll explain this phenomenon in a moment. Who here changed the beach to somewhere where an elephant would be relevant, like say to Africa or something like that? Put your hands up. In other words, you did something in order to make the image permissible. So notice we have a couple of things going on. For some of you, more of you, fewer of you than would be the norm, just because we're doing a lot of hypnotic exercises already. We'll explain the phenomenon in a moment. More of you basically felt, or at least a few of you, like a third of you, felt the jarring effect and were unhappy with me, detracted from your experience. Would that be fair to say? At least some of you, you don't have to identify yourself if you don't want to, would have been unhappy enough with me that you, in fact, I saw a few of you open your eyes and were like, what? Would you go and ruin that lovely little experience for me for, right? I'm glad you're not a man of violence. Yet. You don't keep doing these, right? So what's going on there? How can most of you, or at least about 2/3 of the room, have a really pleasant experience despite this weird imagery, and about 1/3 of the room get upset with me about it? What I've done is I have violated the law of associations, and in doing so, I have activated a different mechanism inside your mind by jarring it. The elephant did not fit that scene. I invited you into a beach, didn't I? A sunny, warm beach. What things, just by the association of your experience, of your lifetime of experiences, what fits? Waves, sea. I did this in America, and talking about the ocean didn't help because he was thinking about one of the Great Lakes, right? It's not salty. Birds, sand, warmth, difference between the dry sand and the wet sand on the bottom, right? You get the idea? Elephants do not sit in our typical folder of things we associate to beaches, right? Unless you've been growing up in India or Thailand or something like that, in which case elephants fit pretty much anywhere, right? So by violating your expectations or your associations that you already have built up over a lifetime, I triggered a mental mechanism. Now, in those of you who I triggered the mental mechanism, it basically spoiled the trance for you to one degree or another. At least it diminished it. The rest of you, however, despite the break, were willing to go along with it anyways, weren't you? He's like, elephant? Yeah, you know what? I could get upset about this, but who cares? Elephant, sure, why not? It's too nice to argue over this one, right? So what's happening there? Any ideas? Go ahead.
I think some people, they have a structured idea of how it has to be, not how it is, but how they think it has to be. But when you can elevate it and you can just let go, and then, yeah, why not? That's my way, how I do it.
So
maybe some other people do it different, but
the concept of letting go is correct. In fact, your whole idea is pretty much on the button, but I want to look at it more functionally. What is being activated? There's another one over here. What is being activated inside the mind? Just stand up and we'll get a mic to you. What is actually being activated inside the mind when that's happening, right? You're very close to the answer here. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if it's something that's been activated.
Just lift up a little bit.
I'm not sure if it's something that's being activated, but it seems that it's a trust thing partly.
The trust thing is exactly what is the mechanism that activates it, is one of those things. Over here. I'll give you the answer in a minute. I mean, I'm not going to expect you to read my mind. I'm just teasing you a bit. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, the likes of a really comfortable chair in a countryside, would that be classed as the same thing? Would it disassociate them from the scene?
It breaks the expectation. The law of association is already set up, and something happens in that break. It introduces something else, and that's what we're interested in it. The thing that introduced it, seeing as we might as well go down that road now, is what we know, and the different hypnotists call different things, but it's essentially called a critical factor. Now, what is this critical factor? You will find many different definitions of critical factor. In fact, you'll probably find a few more definitions of the critical factor than you'll find of hypnosis, and you'll find about as many definitions of hypnosis as there are hypnotists. So I guess a few hypnotists are schizophrenic enough to come up with several versions of the critical factor. So I'm not going to try and get too technical about the whole thing. The way I look at the idea of the critical factor in a very simplistic way is going back to the idea of rooms in the mind. We have a yes room and a no room. Inside the yes room, people look for any reason they can to agree with you, to accept something of what you're saying. Even if 99% of it is BS and useless and they want to get rid of it, they'll focus on the one thing of value to keep. And you've all done that before, right? Any parents in the room? You've never done this with your kids, have they? To come in all proud and think, look what I created, mummy or daddy. And you go, I have no idea what the hell this is. It's great. This is beautiful, tall thing. What is it? Right? You found the one thing. Yes, it is tall, isn't it? Yes, it's tall. That's exactly what it is. You found the one thing you can agree with. Even the rest of it just makes no sense. Right? Then inside the no room, the opposite effect takes place. And it depends on how deep into the no room you go. But in the no room, this is where people start finding any reason to reject it, even if it's the most tiny little thing. And that's what they focus on. So these are the kind of people, when you say, it's a beautiful sunny day, oh, I'm going to get cancer. Oh, congratulations, you just got a pay rise. I'm going to have to pay more to the tax man now. Right? And of course, these naysayers, they're a joy to behold and work with, aren't they? So the reason I make this distinction is because a lot of people hypnotists in particular, have made the mistake of believing that someone with an analytical mind, someone who is very smart, is someone that can't really be hypnotized. There's low hypnotizability because they'll overthink it and then they'll destroy it and all the rest of it. But that's not the case at all. The only thing that destroys the hypnotic process, that inhibits it, is this critical factor, the room inside your mind that chooses to say no. You get the idea?